An elite squad of nano-enhanced soldiers join forces with the faction to put an end to 15 years of unnecessary bloodshed under the brutal dictator Sopot. Red Faction 2.
Hello there, Steel Snake 72 with my Red Faction 2 medium difficulty playthrough. This is level 6 I believe, and this is a long one folks. This is a good 30 minutes, and this is a point in the game where the game sort of steps up. I've been talking about recently a lot about how it hits its stride and that, and this is a step up more in terms of difficulty, believe it or not. I think because this is a release in a time where games got harder as they went on, and you had to take the skills that you'd learned in the past levels and increase with the game. It's a Deferious, I think it's called game flow or something, of like trying to hit a balance between a player's skill level and the difficulty. Games do this in some interesting ways. I think Resident Evil 4 does it probably the best because no one knew about it for years and years, but it has like a dynamic thing where the game will adjust its difficulty for the player depending on how well they're doing, and it's a really cool system actually. This game does it the old-fashioned way. It just makes things a hell of a lot harder as you get on, and yeah, this is a level you're going to feel it. I think this is a level that actually sums up this game very well. It kind of encompasses everything in it. It's also a cool level because this is when you're going to work with a squad, and this is the last time you're going to work with a squad before you get the betrayal. And I was thinking about again the similarities between this and Black Ops 3. And the shotgun, by the way, is the weapon of choice here, so we're going to be clearing out buildings. As I try and blow up the wall, but I get sort of like a Battlefield realization, modern Battlefield, that you can't do it, sadly. But I was trying to think to Black Ops 3 about when did the squad sort of betray you in that game, and if I remember, it's actually quite early on, isn't it? It's I think it's only like three or so levels in when you find out that Taylor and his team's gone rogue. I suppose like Hendrix, who's your main guy in that game, I suppose he's sort of like Reptor in this. But this is a cool level before like shit hits the fan, and the odds sort of turn, because right now you're going to be this sort of last level where you're going to be beasting against these guys with all the odds in your favour. And the shotgun, the flame shotgun, is a joy to use in this part of the game, because you're just going to see enemies run about quite hilarious fashion, which is something that, I don't know, comedy in games seems to have gone a fair bit, especially in shooters. You know, you just used to get the stupid nature of it, sort of like the almost slapstick comedy in a sense. And Metal Gear was superb at that. It still even was in 5. The slapstick stealth, with just how daft it could be at times, stuff like the cardboard box and just the guard AI, and it's all intentional, and it adds to an interesting juxtaposition in that game, especially when the hard-hitting moments of the story kick in, because you don't see them coming and bang, they get you like that. Obviously this game's not going for that at all. It's just going for you to have a good fun time, which it does it in its own way, and that's what I think people like about not just this game, but a lot of games from the past, is they didn't try and... I feel like every game's got to be the same these days. It's got to look the best. It can't... games are afraid to express themselves truly. They've all got to form as this category, because if you put out a demo at E3, you know, on the stage that it doesn't sort of conform with people's expectations or what they sort of expect of games, and doesn't meet the same quality and what they want, you're just going to get slated before you've even had a chance to prove yourself. And in today's market, that's just costly. You can't afford that, essentially. So you don't really get to see creative games like Red Faction 2 on the market. Games that are willing to sort of like take a risk, especially in the shooters genre. People like to play it safe, which hopefully, you know, Wolfenstein and Doom can sort of turn that tide, because you know, the innovation that we got with COD 4 is very much run stale. The assault rifle is not a weapon of range, so go back to the trusted grenade launcher. And as I say, it's interesting. We just need change, don't we, desperately in the shooter genre, but hopefully we get it. And when it comes to Wolfenstein 2, I've been thinking about what I could do with the channel. I think I could, in fact I will do a playthrough. That'll probably be on medium difficulty, I guess, first time through, and just... Will it be post-commentary or will it be altered? I don't know. I'll maybe try and slip some live commentaries in there. I'm not entirely sure. It all depends, really, on what works best for me, because I much prefer post-commentary like this, because I can obviously, if I make a mistake, I can go in and edit it out, and I don't have to worry about it interrupting, and the volume, I can edit the volumes a lot easier when it's post. when it's during the game, it's all a bit of a fumble. I'll have to mess around with the settings and that. Not that that bothers me, I'd be fine to, but it's just easy to prepare a post commentary like this. You know, I can have talking points, which is it's a little harder to do when you're live. And obviously, when you're live, right now I don't have to focus on playing the game because I've done it. But when I'm doing it live, you guys know what I mean. It's difficult to do them all at once because it's harder to talk while you're playing than you'd believe. And next thing you know, you're doing a really good commentary, but you're not focusing on the game, and you're just getting killed all the time. And so you got to cut those parts out. But yeah, Wolfenstein does things its own way with the sort of like comedy, doesn't it? And it has to, because what the sort of subject matter it's covering is a pretty nasty one when you think about it. It's portraying a war with, a world without any hope because Nazism has taken over. The Nazis won, and that's a pretty bleak and dire situation, despite what some nutters will tell you on the internet. So it has to be, I think, comedic in some ways. You got to have the Nazi German, the officer coming in and going, "One strawberry milkshake, please." He's got to do that, hasn't he? Otherwise, to make you laugh before you start realizing that this is an America running riot, like with Nazis everywhere. Because I wonder about Wolfenstein 2. I'm going to do a bit of speculation because I don't watch gameplay demos anymore. I used to keep up a lot with games when they were coming out, but I find that to be so detrimental these days. A lot of it's to do with the release of Metal Gear Solid 5 and how close I followed that, and what a disappointment it ended up being for me. Not completely my fault for following the game, but obviously there was a lot of stuff that went down in Metal Gear Solid 5, and this just sums Red Faction up. I mean, look at it, it's just mad. They're actually not scared of the bullets, it's probably just all the cocaine they've been doing, because they're probably having like a retro 80s night, but I don't follow gameplay demos as much, because as far as I know, Wolfenstein 2 has released a fair bit, but I want things to be a surprise for myself. I want to be surprised by games, and when you've seen it all in the demo, you don't get that, you lose that surprise and that suspense, which I don't want to. I want to enjoy the game. Same goes for Evil Within 2. I've literally watched a trailer. I watched one trailer, I thought it was great. It had an Ordinary World, or at least a remix of it by Duran Duran, so that was bonus points there. So you get a slight hint of my music taste there. But I just find games are more fulfilling that way. I think I'm going to enjoy Wolfenstein 2 and Evil Within 2, providing that they're well designed games and they live up to the originals. I'll enjoy them a hell of a lot more than I would have done if I was following them endlessly every day. I think it'd be a much nicer thing where it's a surprise. It's like, oh, the game's come out. It's I think October 13th, the release of Evil Within 2. Whether I cover that one, I'm not too sure. I may not. Wolfenstein 2, definitely want to cover that. And then we get the big one, which is Call of Duty World War 2. I'm personally not going to be touching that to begin with. You can definitely count on Warrior X. You know, he's going to be absolutely sweating it. Guy's at uni, so he's going to have plenty of time to play it. He'll do, I think he said in his intro, he'll do a campaign walkthrough. Then maybe a hardest difficulty, I don't know. I mean, I'll definitely do that myself, either way. And he'll do multiplayer, he'll do his road to, I think he said road to Master Prestige, so that could be a hell of a long one. But, you know, Call of Duty, it's still a very popular franchise, as much as I like to pretend it's dying and how nice that would be. It's still going and it's still popular, and there's a reason for that. Its formula works, not for the sort of like gamers that perhaps I sort of know, and now you've got to fight a Metal Gear on foot, which is interesting, but you know, for majority of people, they still love to play Call of Duty because it's got systems in place that work. It's a constant multiplayer of reward system. It hooks you, no doubt. How long you can get hooked, it depends on the individual, I think, but there's always going to be somebody who enjoys playing Call of Duty multiplayer, I think, just because of how it works. Even, not to say it hasn't declined in sales and in quality, it has. Warrior X will admit that, you know, there are certain things of him that he can't stand. He's hardly touched Infinite Warfare, I believe. And that's the first time he's not really even properly played one at launch. You know, even games he didn't like so much, you'd have to ask him himself on this. I can't pretend to know his mind, but I don't think he played much Advanced Warfare either. But Infinite Warfare was like a no-go zone, really. But Black Ops 3 he's played a ton, because he likes that one, and most people seem to agree that that's a better one, and even from what I've played of single players, I would completely agree with that opinion. And I wanted to talk about the recent Call of Duty World War 2 trailer that was just released. It was a story trailer, which was perfect for me. That's what I'm interested in. And I'd spoken before of how I want it I wanted the game to portray World War II in a way similar to how we used to get portrayed, where it was a glorious, not a glorious thing, but what the average man did, how it was glorious. And I ended up watching, following that, I ended up watching Band of Brothers clips, which was a TV series, a HBO miniseries, I believe is how you call it. Fantastic series about World War II. I'd imagine most people into World War II would have seen it, as you see Sopot's statue again in the background, which I mentioned in the last level. And the end of that series is such a brilliant thing. When you hear the stories, they're playing a game of baseball, all the ones that are left, all the soldiers from the Easy Company, I think they're called. That's right, yeah. And you hear about their lives after the war, and it just shows you these were just ordinary men that fought in the World War II. And once the war ended, they became ordinary men. And it does bring a tear to your eye, to be fair, because I think the thing about that generation is they're so humble as well. Like, they don't even consider themselves heroes of any kind, but they just sort of did a job that they had to do. And the end of the series did that really well. And it's a lot harder for a game like Call of Duty to portray that. Even, you know, all Call of Duties didn't sort of do that. They did it in their own way, and then told you if you like real history, go look it up, and you might get the thing there. But who knows? It's been a long time since those original Call of Duties. Can we flex our muscles enough storytelling wise that we can sort of portray that? I'm just worried that they'll go down a really generic route, which could be hinted at from the trailer. We saw like some American prisoner of wars, I think, and then they were getting rid of their dog tags, or one of them was to show he's not a Jew or something. I don't know how the game's going to play it. It could be really good for all we know. By the way, what you've just seen there is actually one of the harder aspects of this game. Probably should have talked about it. And there's all the squads here, the gang's all here, as Lethal Weapon 4's tagline used to say. As we're going to get some more fighting with friends action. You know, I would love if this game had been a co-op campaign. Co-op campaign's something that's so like underrated, or not underrated, but not used enough, is it? I suppose it can be hard to do, but I want to see it more. It's just, even the most generic game can be 10 times more fun with a co-op partner. Sniper Elite embodies this completely, I think, especially 3 and 4. Not particularly great games by any stretch of the imagination, but when you've got a friend with you, it's a hell of a lot better. But going back to COD, I hope that we just don't get some... I don't know where it's going with the Jew thing. Who knows, maybe you're going to find a bunch of your men have been slaughtered in a concentration camp, but that would be pretty wrong historically, I'm sure. I don't think they'd do that either. It's hard to tackle, isn't it? I'm sure they'll pay their respects. I hope so, because it'll add a bit of class back into Call of Duty that's not been there. Because between that and like Infinite Warfare having Conor McGregor and Kit Harington in, I think this would add a bit more class to it, wouldn't it? And try and get a bit of respect and self-dignity back in the series, because it's lost it. Sort of, I think, sort of like the Modern Warfare 3 sort of era. Black Ops 1 as well, where it just became dumb popcorn entertainment. Which I wanted to talk about that phase. So Infinite Warfare, right, as I understand, had Kit Harington in and Conor McGregor. Now, at this point in 2016, especially at this point after the recent few Call of Duties, we can all admit Call of Duty has gone completely stupid, and my favourite grenades in this game. That's too funny. Some people may say I'm sick because I'm watching men burn, but hey, whatever. Whatever floats your goat, as they say. Floats your boat, rather. What am I about? Never mind. Back to Kit Harington and Conor McGregor. My favourite subject. Call of Duty was in a stupid point, so why not do stupid stuff with them? You've got Conor McGregor. You're telling me you don't even have a quick time fist fight with him in space with no gravity, like a James Bond flick? And when I say a James Bond film, I mean like Roger Moore style. Where was, like, at least when you go, oh yeah, Infinite Warfare was stupid, you wouldn't go, it was boring. You'd say, oh yeah, what about that fist fight with Conor McGregor? Even if it was quick time event, at least, you know, you've got a UFC champion there. Like, everyone knows who Conor McGregor is, especially now after Floyd Mayweather. You know, he's cool. And Kit Harington, Game of Thrones, why couldn't we have had like a fight, like some kind of sword fight? As dumb as it would have been, a sword fight in space and like cracking his helmet open or something. But and people say, what, that is the stupidest thing you've ever said, Steel Snake. It was Call of Duty, it was in a stupid time. Why not go out in style at the very least? If you're going to put these celebrities in who are known for these things, you know, make use of them, make them cool. Like, why wasn't Lewis Hamilton driving a like Formula 1 car in Infinite Warfare, and a space Formula 1 car. I don't know, they should just go a bit more. If they're going to do stupid stuff like that, be stupid and go full out. Don't hold back. I feel like they hold back too often. And they're the coolest grenades in the game, actually, those flash grenades. They're a pain when the bots use them against you online, though. So if you ever play online, be wary of that. But, you know, be stupid. That's my motto. If you're going to do it, you might as well. As opposed to coming away from Infinite Warfare like most people do, just going, that was boring, you know. But what? I mean, honestly, if I say Infinite Warfare and its campaign, what comes to your head, really? Does anything? Like, to me, when I say, I just get an image of boring space and really nothing. At least, you know, there's something vivid when it comes to the other games. You know, Advanced Warfare sort of did this a bit better, didn't it? As the best gun in the game comes back, and you'll notice it now points enemies at locations out to you and gives them a health bar, which is a very cool and very welcome addition. But you'll notice that even in Advanced Warfare, they got Kevin Spacey because of House of Cards. I think, yeah, Sean, yeah, it will have been. But and at least they use him. You know, he's in every bloody scene, and he's like always being. He's being very Frank Underwood just without his southern charm, which is a bit of a downgrade to be fair, but at least they used him, you know, and people, you know, you say Advanced Warfare, people remember and they sort of smile when you sort of mention Kevin Spacey, or they put their head in their hands. It's either one of the two reactions. You know, Ghosts is similar. I don't think people remember Ghost, do they? They remember the dog, just because of how laughable that was. And don't spend too much time dawdling here because, yeah, you don't have long. You got to get running. You do get a timer, thankfully, and this is the best cutscene of the game. Don't ask me. You can literally watch that cutscene in the what-you-call-it. You can watch that cutscene whenever you want, just in the menu, and it's quite funny to just because I think the cutscene's name is "Oh shit." Which is fair enough. It's to the point, isn't it? And we're now coming up to a point in the game which is something that's been building up to now for some time, and that is the battle armor that we've been facing. What I keep referring to as Metal Gears. You're finally going to get to drive around in one of these things, and it's pretty cool. It's yeah, it's not bad actually. I want to say it's a disappointment, but it's not. To be fair to it, it's quite good. It's better than something you see, I think, nowadays. I mean, it's not Titanfall 2, which is, I mean, oh, what a game Titanfall 2 is. I mean, I just want to talk about Titanfall 2 now and how awesome that game is and how it puts the fun back in shooters, because, you know, I've been talking about Call of Duty and Battlefield in the past, well, just throughout this entire playthrough, really, but the reason Titanfall 2 is so great is because we seem to be in sort of an era now where it's like, literally your KD is like life and death matter. If you know, online matches always feel like it's complete life and death matter. If you don't get that kill, it's all over, life's over. But Titanfall 2 just, I don't know, it just brings the calmness back to it. It's a lot of fun. I have fun when I lose, not that I like losing that much. I try and win all the time, obviously, but when I come away and it's a lost match, I don't ever think to myself, oh, well, that was a waste of time, I didn't enjoy myself. I never think that with Titanfall 2. I'm always enjoying myself playing that game, no matter what. It just strikes a chord with me, because it's a game you know, you're not just gonna Call of Duty, anybody can kill anybody. It's because of the way it's intentional, it's the way the game works, you know. It's easy to kill, it's low time to kill, I think is the correct phrase. You know, you don't need a lot of bullets to put somebody down, and the way the maps are designed, there's always, you know, there's always going to be, even the worst player, you know, literally the worst player in the world, you know, that poor lad who can't even see anything, you know, he can barely move his hands, he's still going to be able to get a kill in the Call of Duty match, believe it or not, because of the way the game is designed. It's an intentional thing. Titanfall 2, that's not the case, because especially against other humans, you'll definitely be able to kill a few bots, which is why I like the bots, because they give players that struggle, you know, somewhere to aim for, and it's a way of getting other points on the board, and you know, you're not going to struggle from the bots. And it also gives the battles a much, you know, greater sense of scale. As I say, I think it's something Call of Duty could actually do with putting in. But Titanfall 2, you've got to be good, half decent at it to play it, and there's a lot of interesting ways to play Titanfall 2. I think that's a game which is really interesting to, you know, you can watch other people's technique, but what's your own? Like, try and remember how you were when you first played Titanfall 2. I played it like a Call of Duty game, especially playing the difficulty, massive difficulty on the campaign first time through. I played it like it was COD. Crouching behind cover, not really doing the whole jumping thing, but you absolutely can play it, the campaign, like it's all about the movement. It is, and I think people do ignore it sometimes just because it's kind of alien to them. And it's incredible just how terrible the wall running and jumping feels in Black Ops 3, Advanced Warfare, and Infinite Warfare. How bad it feels in comparison to Titanfall 2, because it's trying to emulate what Titanfall 1 and Titanfall 2 did, and it just can't do it. If I was to go on Black Ops 3 now and try and do some of that wall running, it would feel awful. And the problem with Call of Duty is it never designs its levels. Oh, sorry, I'm just yawning there. It never designs its levels for you to be able to do effective running and wall running. As I get tricked by a guy here.
Over here! I'm with the red faction. I'll lead you to soap opera.
He's that shooting me, so I think I might burn him. But there's never I've lost my train of thought now. Though. Yeah, it's trying to emulate what what Titanfall tried to do, basically. And when you try and do that, it's never going to work. And trying to play Black Ops 3 again and try and do the wall running, it won't work. And the level design, that's it, level design. That only took a minute to find again, didn't it? The level design is never matched, so you can go running about. You go running about on Call of Duty, especially on harder difficulties, you're just going to get shot. Simple as that, and you're going to die. Especially Black Ops 3's realistic, which, yeah, realistic was an interesting difficulty. I mean, when I start doing hardest difficulty walkthroughs, I can talk at length about difficulty and my feelings on hardest difficulties and what I think makes good difficulty and what doesn't. Realistic was something I heard before the game came out. A difficulty where you died in one shot, and I immediately thought, that is terrible, that's poor design, that must just be awful. And then I came across a YouTuber that I'd seen play other games on the hardest difficulty, and I watched some of that content, and it was actually better designed than I thought it was. And this guy was kind of not full of praise, but he said it was actually pretty good. And it's certainly very visceral when you first play Black Ops 3 realistic, because when you get shot you die, and you're not used to that in a Call of Duty game, because you're used to taking a lot of damage before going down. Even on veterans, you know, and that you're used to sort of not dying, but you get used to taking a few bullets. And so when you go to realistic, and next thing you know, you get taken one bullet, bang, you're dead, he's down, last checkpoint. It's very visceral and a bit of a shock. But the game did certain things right. It made the accuracy of the enemies a hell of a lot less than it could have been. If it had been accuracy of past Call of Duties, you'd have been screwed. You wouldn't have lasted 5 seconds, because the game would have just murked you, end of. But it made the accuracy. Yawning again. I was tired. I do apologise. That's just very professional, isn't it? But you would die when, you know, the accuracy wasn't up to snuff, thankfully, from other games. You'd be just dead in an instant. But the checkpoints, the way it works is if you die very quickly in a game, I believe that you should not lose much progress. It should be a balance act. You know, if the time it takes to kill you should reflect how much progress you're going to lose. So you couldn't have a game like Resident Evil 1, for instance. That game would not work if you were to die in one zombie bite, would it? The way the game works is on medium difficulty, you got to take a few good zombie bites before you even got to get start close to worrying about your health. And then that's how it should be. So for realistic, really in Black Ops 3, checkpoints should be very frequent, but they're so buggy. That game has such buggy checkpoints, and sometimes they're brilliant. I say half the time they are brilliant. Your checkpoints are exactly what you need them to be. But other times they're terrible, and they ask you to play so much stuff again. And when you die in one bullet, it's really not fair. It's a difficulty that I've played through with BFS Warrior X, you know, before. And we didn't really struggle for the first few levels. It's definitely a difficulty that is a lot easier with a couple of people. But it does get harder. Like, I think it's a level in Yemen, I think it is, where you got to plant these like drills in the ground. That we got stuck on for a while, and I was getting pretty frustrated actually. It was a bit of a pain. It was probably the only point in the game where I actually got annoyed. The rest of it was pretty smooth sailing. The last level didn't really... No, the last level was fine, actually. I tell you, the last checkpoint in Black Ops 3, though, I'm realistic, because I've done it on solo since, that is the worst. And the worst thing about Black Ops 3, I think, is definitely the end, the campaign. Because because it's a point where you start realizing you're playing a game because it asks you to do the same activity 3 times, and that's when you can see the gaminess of something. That's when it's failed completely. That is a complete and utter failure in game design, and you don't even really want to do it because it's just a mesh of all the past levels you've been through. It's really not fun. It's a really bad way to end what has been a pretty solid game. It's quite sad actually, but the last checkpoint, you've got to do this whole section obviously without getting shot, so you're constantly on the edge of your seat. You do it, and then you got to do this swimming, and you got to dodge all these mines, and I managed to do it thankfully first time, at least the mine part. I didn't do it all in one go, I'm not good, but reading stories of people that did it all, it took them like 100 times to shoot everyone, and the mines got them. I mean, that just shouldn't be allowed. That was a part we showed with actually, was level 5 in Singapore, the Hypo Center. Getting out of there with all those mines, I think what happened is we tend to, if somebody got downed in the water because you didn't have enough breath, you'd let them go, and there was 3 of us at that point for that little bit, and it was like whoever, everyone try and make it to the top of the water, because if one person makes it, the whole, it completes the level for you. It was a really tense moment, everyone just trying to swim to the top. I can't remember who made it actually, it might have been me, but I definitely can't confirm that. And this is a part of the game I do like, because you're actually chasing Sopot here, and you can actually see him. It's very similar to the first game where you chase Capek through the tunnels, and
You'll have to wait for it.
it's an interesting moment because the first half of this game, it's very much focusing on Sopot, but he's such a generic person. He's literally like, they might as well just had Hitler, to be honest with you. He's just, all he's done is like, he's Chancellor of the Republic or something. It's very Star Wars prequel-like language. And he's basically just made these nano experiments. I don't even know what his plan is with this rocket. I don't even know what he's going to blow up. Is he going to blow up himself? Is he going to blow up the Earth? Is that even a bad thing? Is the Earth even worth saving at this point? I don't know. Just blow up the bad guys. And you can hear the dialogue from the main menu in this part. So if you spent a lot of time in those menus, you'll definitely know what he's saying here. It's generally really generic patriotic nationalist rubbish of like, oh, the glory of the Commonwealth. I mean, who knows, maybe the Commonwealth wasn't that bad, and we're finally going to meet Sopot, and I'm going to show up for this cutscene because it's quite hilarious actually, how dated it is.
Respect Sopot! Fear Sopot! Sopot is your master!
For the honor of the Commonwealth, get your ass into the silo.
Jesus. What legendary voice acting from Alias. Can't imagine if a Russian soldier walked on Hitler. I can't imagine Hitler in his bunker saying to a Russian soldier, fear Hitler, respect Hitler, he is your master. Probably wouldn't have gone down like this, but I do love this kill. This is pretty funny actually. You got the big red button, you don't press the red button, but press it anyway, and I love his little run. But that's the end of the level, guys. You've killed Sopot, you've won the game, or at least you think so, because there's going to be a very obvious betrayal coming up, and the game takes a very interesting turn, and it also takes a much tougher turn. But thank you for watching, guys. That was a full 29 minutes. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys in the next level when we get betrayed.
Alias, get yourself out of there. Squad, regroup as planned at Red Faction HQ.